Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. And now we finish Janacek working backwards through the alphabet. We've concluded the J's, and we're into the I's. Some interesting I's, including Ives. Lots of Ives. An incredible amount of Ives. You know, there's a lot more to Ives than like the Fourth Symphony or the Concord Sonata or the Unanswered Question. It really is, he's become sort of a staple, at least for his more popular works. Ives is a marvel. He really is a fascinating composer. Most people do not give him the credit he deserves for creating really a galaxy of splendid compositions in traditional forms or traditional media. The forms are, the forms are a little bit more unusual perhaps, but goodness gracious, what an original composer he was. And he's like a sort of a personal favorite because he was born in Danbury, which is where my dad's from. And my family was there, and my grandfather had an auto parts store on Main Street in Danbury when Ives was there, and he went to my high school, Hopkins Grammar, before going to Yale. So we did all these Ives things when I was growing up, and we never really had any issue with his more, radical side. We just sort of took it in stride. New Englanders that we were, just sort of, that was our guy. He was the hometown team, and it goes to show, it's actually an important point, believe it or not, that if you don't tell people that he's difficult and radical and all that stuff, and you just say, here, listen to this, isn't this fun? People will say, yes, it is fun, because it is. It's really marvelous. So I've got like all kinds of Ives, and you're going to get to learn, I think, an extraordinary galaxy of pieces, of all kinds of pieces. And the other thing about Ives is that for all his supposed hodgepodge nature, taking, folk tunes and patriotic songs and popular tunes and slamming them all together simultaneously and creating a giant cacophony, despite all of that, he had a real musical language. A genuine, consistently used musical language, which evolved very quickly, actually, in his career. And after that, it was smooth sailing. So if you like something, you will like the something else. It's an immediately identifiable style and language that you can enjoy. And with those preliminaries out of the way, let's see what we've got. I've got a huge stack of stuff here, so we're just going to start going through some of it, and we'll stop. And when we get to like the 6 or 7 minute mark, I try and keep these talks relatively brief, but we'll see. First, Symphony Number 4, Three Places in New England, Central Park in the Dark. Well, Central Park in the Dark and the Fourth Symphony are with the Boston Symphony and Seiji Ozawa. The Fourth Symphony is not one of Ozawa's better performances. It really isn't. It's a muddle, and Ives creates his own muddle. You don't want to add to it in any way, particularly in the second movement, which needs to have a certain amount of clarity of texture. In other words, when the big climaxes come and everything's happening at once, you got to pick a tune. You got to find a melodic surface and stick with it. Ozawa doesn't do that. And maybe it's because he's using the version of the score for one conductor, or it could be just because he doesn't have the sense of the music, the feel for the different tunes and things like that. But it all just clogs up when you hear the big noises. And I was so disappointed in this recording for that reason. But you also get the Three Places New England with the Boston Symphony and Michael Tilson Thomas, which is fabulous. It's not the original version. It's the chamber version with a lot in the piano part and whatnot, but it's still a marvelous performance. And Central Park in the Dark is fine too, but that Fourth Symphony, it's a blot. I'm telling you, it's a blot, a smear on Ozawa's escutcheon as a conductor. What do we got now? The Celestial Country. Oh, okay. Psalm settings, Easter Carol, Crossing the Bar. Oh, this is marvelous. This was on Collins Classics. Remember them? They were such nice people, the Collins people, but they had not a clue about making money. I mean, they spent it very effectively, but they didn't earn it back, and that was an issue. So what we've got is the Celestial Country is a cantata. It's a thing, and it's a large work. It's an early work. It has, a few Ivesianisms, but it's a lovely choral piece that more people should do. And you've got Psalms 54, 67, 90, and 135. Easter Carol and a piece called Crossing the Bar with the BBC Singers, the Duke Quartet in the Celestial Country. It's for strings and organ and a small ensemble with choir. And members of the New London Orchestra and Stephen Cleobury conducting on. I was so happy to see this come out because Ives choral music, some of it is really quite splendid and it deserves to be better known. So there's one way to do it. Of course, that's been out of print for 100 billion years, and maybe it's popped up on some other format or some other label. I'm not sure. Then we've got, this is the Trio Fontenay on Teldec, doing Brahms Piano Trio No. 1 and the Ives Piano Trio. Ives was not all that fond of Brahms, actually, so it's kind of fun that these two be together. They could spin in each other's graves in mutually opposing directions. The Ives Piano Trio, the Brahms we know, is fabulous. It has a central movement called Tsiag, T-S-I-A-G. That stands for This Scherzo is a Joke. And it is. It's wacky and funny. There's initially atonalish moderato, then there's the joke, and then a big 12-minute long transcendental finale, which is really worth knowing. This was another one where it represents the acceptance of Ives into the canon as a composer who deserves to be performed alongside the big names, not just Ives specialists, strange American people who crawl out of the woodwork. Like me, for example. Then we got, this thing. This is an extra because it's still wrapped in plastic. it's definitely an extra. Symphony No. 1 with the Philadelphia Orchestra in Ormondy. 3 Places in New England with the Philadelphia Orchestra in Ormondy. Fine performances. These were the Sony ones. He did actually remade 3 Places in New England in the expanded, the original edition, also for RCA. Did them quite well. And the Robert Browning Overture with Stokowski and the American Symphony. The Robert Browning Overture is gnarly. It's 18 atonal minutes of complete mayhem. And there were patches that Ives apparently left slightly unfinished, and they got, finished by other people. And when Ives was shown the completions, he said, yeah, it was something like that. That's fine. Just let it be. Really, really a cool piece, but it's the most abstract and difficult of, Ives. It's sort of more like Ruggles, Sun Treader, that sort of thing. But yeah, this was a classic, and I knew it would be in print for about 35 seconds, so I got myself an extra one. It's always a good idea. And then what's this one? Oh, look at this. Yes. We have the Concord Sonata, performed by Roberto Sidon. Marvelous, with the optional flute thing in Thoreau and the optional viola thing in Emerson. So you've got like a very complete Concord Sonata, and Roberto Sidon's a wonderful, wonderful pianist. You may know him from his Liszt Hungarian Rhapsodies, so this was really cool. And this has the Ozawa Central Park in the Dark and the Michael Dilson Thomas 3 Places in New England. It's actually, it's the German Klassikon mid-price Deutsche Grammophon label. It was in Germany. But it's a wonderful introduction to Ives. Actually, this is like a great first Ives record. And, of course, it doesn't exist. Deutsche Grammophon would have been, would have been smart of them to leave it out just that way. I will do a couple more because I had that lengthy introduction, so what the hell. We've got, look at this one. Leonard Bernstein with the Holiday, the Unanswered Question, first of all, which is a beautiful performance marred by all kinds of audience noises. Not audience, but like recording ambient noises. It's just, I don't know what they were thinking. The Holidays Symphony, which is wonderful. You've got the Washington's Birthday, Decoration Day, the 4th of July, and Thanksgiving for Father's Day. I love Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving ends with a choir coming in and singing, "Oh God, beneath thy guiding hand, our exiled fathers crossed the sea, and ere they trod the wintry strand, with prayer and psalm they worshipped thee." Well, that's one of the hymn tunes that I sang every year, just about, at our annual Hopkins Grammar Christmas concert at Trinity Church on the Green in New Haven, where Ives himself, would have hung out at times. And it's a known tune in New England quarters. It gives you a feeling for the music and an emotional attachment to the music that you really can't get any other way when the composer quotes a really well-known tune that you've done yourself. But otherwise, the Holiday Symphony is really best listened to in bits, I really think, because 3 of the 4 movements, that is the first 3, Washington's birthday, Decoration Day, and the 4th of July. Decoration Day is now Memorial Day. They're all the same formally. You have this sort of vague atonal string introduction, then you've got the pop folk song collage thing in the middle that rises to a dissonant climax, and then you're back to the sounds of the opening. They do that. I mean, Ives was not a formal genius. He wasn't. He did not, try and create new formal strategies and things like that. And so hearing 3 things like that, one after the other, I find tiresome. And you may too. But if you listen to them separately, well, then each one is individually. They're marvelous. So, and Ives broke them up. He never insisted that they be played together. But, it's called the Holidays. It's Symphony New England Holidays. So you can do it either way, whatever way floats your boat. Then there's Central Park in the Dark. In this case, Seiji Ozawa is one of the assistant conductors. And Maurice Paris is another Ives specialist and became a Duke Ellington specialist. So that's interesting. And it's coupled to Elliott Carter's Concerto for Orchestra, a performance that barely scrapes by. Let's put it that way. It's been done much better since. But it's a New York Phil and Leonard Bernstein, and that's sort of fun. And another Ives on Bernstein Century, 2nd and 3rd symphonies. The performances are lovely, as you might expect. The 2nd Symphony, the performance is an absolute classic. And there's a little lecture where Bernstein talks about Ives, and that makes this a great place. This is another Sony Bernstein Century thing. Makes this a perfect place to end this first of quite a few videos featuring the music of Charles Ives. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.